Hey everybody, it's Christina. Welcome back. Today I thought we would do a couple of Valentine's Day projects. I am in desperate need to freshen up my Valentine's Day decorations. I try to do something new every year, so I'm going to do a couple small projects this year, and we're going to do them in this video. So this right here is from the Target dollar spot, whatever they call that little section when you walk in the door, and it was $5, and you got two of these little house-shaped boxes. So the first one has just a white background and the other one has a black background. I'm gonna set this one aside and maybe use it for another holiday, and we're gonna work with the smaller one. Okay, to put our house project together in Design Space, I am going to first select a shape, and I'm going to use just a rectangle, and I've measured my house box, so I need it to be about 5 inches by maybe 4 inches. So I'm going to unlock our image, so I can either unlock it here, or you can also unlock it in between our size, two options for sizing. So our width is going to be 5 inches, and our height is going to be about 4 inches. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to change this background from the gray color to a white color. And this is actually going to be my template. So when I go in to add my design, it's going to be right here. I went ahead and uploaded this design already to Design Space. I got this look, or this SVG cut from Design Bundles. I believe it's called the Valentine Sign Bundle. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to my canvas. And once it's on here, this is where I'm going to have to do a little bit of playing around. I'm going to adjust the size just to be smaller, and I'm going to center it. And then I also want to make this a little bit wider. So again, I have to do the unlock, and now my arrows, I got 4 little corner arrows, so I can actually spread this out a little bit. And that looks about pretty good. Since I'm just using this square in the background to be a template, I'm going to go ahead and delete this from my image. I do not need to cut it out. I could also just go ahead and hide it with the eyeball right here, but I am going to go ahead and delete it. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out on my Cricut machine using probably a red or black vinyl. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. Now this is a really intricate design, so it's going to take me a while. And I did cut this already on a different color that I wasn't totally thrilled about. And it was really hard to get it off here. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I have my weeding tool, and I probably can trim this down a little bit more so that I can hold on to this piece of scrap here as well. All right, so I cut off a little the extra piece, and I'm gonna go ahead and weed this. Now I may have to jump off camera and do this because I do know this is a very intricate part, and I have to turn my overhead lights to see what I'm doing. And if I do that, when we come, I'll just come back with the project that's already weeded. But just in case you're wondering, that's why I had to jump away. So, but we're gonna try. The trick with this one was to go really slow when you're pulling it off, but it worked out really well. If I cut this a little bit bigger, it wouldn't have been a problem, but that was a tiny letters. All right, I'm gonna use some transfer tape, and I just have tape that I'm not even sure where I got this from, but I wanted to use something that has lining on it so that I can see if I'm straight. So we're just gonna go ahead and cut this out. should not be using these scissors. Those are my good scissors. I'm gonna use my nice Tim Holtz scissors. They're made for all this kind of stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this out. And like I said, I was trying to say is I'm not sure where I got this tape from. It's something that's been in my stash, and I think I got it for free with something that I ordered. I'm not even 100% sure. So I have the lines, and I'm just gonna go ahead and peel the backing off of my transfer tape. Maybe. My hands are so dry from winter that I can't seem to do anything. All right, we'll weed it off. And we're just gonna go ahead and put that over the top, and I just wanna make it so that it's straight, so it'll be easier for me to see. I don't know how straight that's gonna be, but that's pretty close. I'm gonna take my little scraper and just scrape it down, and then we'll flip it over and scrape the back. And before I peel this off, I'm gonna actually set this, but this was not straight at all now, was it? I'm gonna set this inside just to make sure if I need to cut any of the tops angles to make sure I get it in there okay. So we're going to need to look at it from the front. And I am gonna go ahead and just cut the corners off just to make it a little easier, or just slip right in there. And we're gonna start slowly peeling this back because we're gonna have to probably stick some of these letters into place. I like to use my little picky tool to make sure that I'm holding down anything that might be popping up. All right. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and, if you want to, you can center this. I'm just gonna go ahead and fold it in half and do a little pinch at the top, making sure that I don't lose any of my letters. And that's just gonna help me kind of find the center. And then we could peel the transfer tape off, and then we'll have a cute little decoration for Valentine's Day. That's stuck on there very nicely. Okay, how cute that is. Oh, I love that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and work on our next project. So my next project, I'm going to be doing a cutting board, and I already went ahead and added a circle shape just by going into the shapes, selecting a circle, setting it with a white background, and selecting 4.5 inches, because that's about the size of my cutting board. And for this one, I'm going to do a very simple text. I'm just going to type out the word love, so I'm adding text, and I want this to be in a different font. So I'm going to go up to the font section here, and I believe the font I want is called Alyssa. I think it's Alyssa. Or maybe Alicia. All right, it's the Alyssa text font or stencil font. And I really love this. I just thought this was super cute. And I'm just gonna go ahead and enlarge this so it's a little bit bigger for my project. So roughly about maybe 3.5 inches wide, and roughly about 1.5 inches tall. And I'm gonna just go ahead and hide my circle. That I'm only using that as a template, and then I can cut this onto either my Cricut Explorer 3 or onto my Cricut Joy. I picked up this little mini cutting board at Hobby Lobby, and I painted it with chalk paint, and I used Milk Jug. This is one of my favorite chalk paint colors. And then added just a little ribbon bow at the top. And the bow is actually just from this ribbon that I purchased at Michael's for 70% off right after the holidays. I'm using masking transfer tape because it's a lighter tack, and I just want to use that so that when I put my vinyl down, it doesn't pull up any of my paint. So I'm just gonna put that right onto there. I need to grab my scissors, and we'll cut this off the roll. And we're gonna make sure this is adhered down to our masking tape really well. Just gonna varnish it with my scraper and do the front and back.
And then I could start peeling this up. Now, because it's a lighter tack, it's a little harder to get the vinyl to stick to the masking tape. So we're going to, plus I used a piece of scrap smart vinyl, so it's a little bit thicker backing, so it's a little harder to pull off. I like to use I like to have my pick around so that I could just use it to pull off the parts that don't want to, you know, stick to the masking tape, because it's going to stick fine to our project. So the important thing is getting it to stick to the masking tape. And then I'm going to go ahead and just varnish this down onto the top of my cutting board. I'm going to try to aim for the center. I don't have the best eye for that. The trick with that is, if you don't have the best eye for centering things, is to try to use a piece of parchment paper. You can put that underneath your vinyl, and that will, it doesn't stick to your vinyl, but it will help it so that you can kind of move things around a little bit. All right, that goes down way easier onto our cutting board than it does onto the masking tape. But that's just a really quick, super simple Valentine's Day decoration. I have these waffle textured towels, kitchen towels, and I am going to, they're microfiber towels, so they're sublimatable. So I'm going to sublimate this cute little design here that I have. I got this from a place called Monogram Moments, I believe. I'll post it. It's going to be linked in the description below, but I am going to sublimate this at 385 degrees for 55 seconds. I have it set up on my timer and temperature up here. And the first thing I want to do is I need to make sure this is at a light pressure. You don't want anything too heavy with this, because you don't want to, it's pretty, actually it could probably be a little bit lighter. So we're going to make that a little bit lighter. There we go. That's a pretty good one. And what I'm going to do is put this in here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of give this a little press, first to get some of the moisture out of the fabric, but also to put a seam in it so I can tell where the center of it is. And I'm just going to set this for like maybe 5 or 10 seconds. I have my seam in here, and what I'm going to do now is, before I do my sublimating, I want to lint roll this just to get any loose fibers so that I don't end up with any blue strings in here. So I'm going to take my little image here, which I did print out on my sublimation printer with some A-sub paper, which is my favorite paper. I like the 125-pound paper. We also want to add some butcher paper. We want to put this here so that when the color comes through, it will bleed through to the back side of the paper, and we don't want it to get it onto our plate for heating, because it'll transfer onto every project you do there forward. So I'm just gonna slide my tray back in here, and we are going to put this down again. I have this on a light pressure, and we're gonna set it for 55 seconds. Just gonna take our Teflon sheets off here, and then we're gonna remove our image. Just being careful, it's hot. And oh, how adorable. I love the way that came out. It's so cute. Our next project is going to be using Armor Etch to etch in a little sentiment. So I went ahead and cut out this Be Mine sentiment, and I used stenciling material. And I created a little box to go around it and attached it in Design Studio just so it's one piece. So then I can use my masking tape, transfer tape, so that it's easily coming over with all the little bits and pieces from the centers of the letters and the heart. Now there are supposed to be insides to the flowers, but they were just really delicate, and I could not get those out. So I'm just going to take my stencil material and use the transfer tape to grab this so I can easily transfer it over to my frame. Just going to get this on here, and then we'll get our frame prepped. And I believe this frame was really inexpensive. I got it a long time ago, so I don't know if Michael's even has, or
TJ Maxx even has this anymore, so let's see if we can figure out how to get this thing apart. I just grabbed a piece of cardstock just so I have something for behind the glass, so you're not getting a ton of glare. And I'm gonna take my stencil, and we're just gonna peel this off, making sure all of our little pieces are staying and sticking to our masking paper. And I'm having one of those days where it seems like I'm having an epic fail day. Do you guys ever get into crafting and then find out that you're just, maybe it's not a good day to be crafting? I'm having a hard time telling if I've even got the sticky side down. So I accidentally, when I was weeding this, I accidentally pulled out the center from the E. And we're just gonna go ahead and put this down at the bottom of our glass. I'm gonna trim this at the bottom a little bit just to help me get it, because I'm gonna put this down at the bottom. Use my scraper just to make sure we got this nice and down. And we'll see if I put that little center part on the E back correctly. I did. All right, I have this all ready to go, and I'm just gonna bring in, I'm just using the Armor Etch, and I'm gonna take my paintbrush and put a nice thick coat on all of my cutouts here. All right, so as soon as this is done, so I have 15 minutes before I have to do anything, and I will then take it and rinse the Armor Etch off. Just be careful not to get any of this on your fingers, because it is an etching cream, so it's you know, it's got chemicals in it, so you don't want to get this onto your skin. I'm gonna set this aside and set a timer for 15 minutes. All right, so the timer finished, and I went ahead and rinsed off the etching cream, and we're just gonna go ahead and peel this back. Ooh, I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but I love it already. I like to use the stencil material because it just sticks well to the glass, and I find that I have very few mistakes with it bleeding underneath or anything like that. So the etching glass is definitely, or the stencil is definitely my favorite for using the etching cream. So hopefully you can see what that looks like. So it says "Be Mine," and it has the little hearts on it, and I absolutely think it came out adorable. Now I did have a little bit of spillage over here, but usually I don't have a problem, but I guess I just didn't pay close enough attention to that area. But I think it came out great. And again, I don't know if you can see this, but I figure I'm gonna put a smaller photo here. It's nice about being able to print from home, that you can just print out, you know, whatever size you need. And my last project is going to be a mug that I'm gonna sublimate using my mug press here. That's heating up. I have my design all printed out. I printed this out using my sublimation printer. You do have to have a special printer for printing sublimation. And I'm going to trim this down. I printed it onto some A-sub paper, and I'm gonna trim it down on the top and the bottom. And I did print it mirror so that when it transfers onto the mug, it's in the right direction. And then I am going to just cut off the sides here because it's going to be a little bit too long. And this is my mug. This is a sublimation mug that is designed, it has a special coating on it, so it will accept the ink. And we just need to clean this off. I have some rubbing alcohol right here, and we want to make sure it's nice and clean and then also nice and dry. So I got fuzz already. So when you're printing sublimation, you have to make sure that it's free of any kind of fuzz and lint, because if you're not free of fuzz and lint, it will transfer as blue onto your mug. So we just need to make sure we're nice and clean. Also takes off our oils and stuff from our hands. And then I have my image, and then I also need my my heat tape. Can't just use any kind of heat tape. You do have to, or any kind of tape. You do have to use a heat tape for this. All right, so we're gonna start by putting our design on our mug, and then we're gonna wrap it around, and I just wanna make sure that we're as straight as possible. And then I'm gonna take my heat tape, and that's our heat press there, it's all ready to go. I'm gonna take our heat tape and just make sure this is wrapped around nice and tight. And I think we had moved just a little bit. And then I'm also going to use a piece of butcher paper. So if you were doing infusible ink, you would just, you don't really necessarily have to use butcher paper. I use butcher paper all the time. And I'm going to wrap this around as well. And that's going to prevent, because with sublimation ink, it will bleed through the paper, which will then bleed through onto your machine. And then every time you go to do something, sublimate something or anything like that, it's going to print onto whatever you're sublimating. So I'm just going to wrap 2 layers of butcher paper around there, and then also again bringing in my heat tape. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. Now with the mug press, what's really nice is that it will grip everything. If you're using, I also have a sublimation oven, and if I was using that, I would have to put a shrink wrap around this so that it would hug it really well. But because we're using the Cricut mug press, it's going to do that for us. So we're just going to go ahead and slip this in. And we'll close our top. There we go. And then once the all the dots are filled up, we'll know we're done. Our mug press just beeped. We're ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this open. And the handle is going to be cool because it sticks out of the machine. And I have just a little heat pad right here so I could put this down. We'll turn this off and set this to the side. And this is very hot. I'm going to be very careful so that I don't burn myself, and I'm going to peel away my heat tape. I can feel the heat coming off of this. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but some of the lettering did come through, and you can see lettering through the paper now. And let's do the big reveal here. I love it. I love it, I love it. So I like to do my designs on both sides, and a lot of people like to do the full wrap. I prefer just to do just something simple where it's just, you know, something on this side and then a little on, maybe another image, or maybe not just on that side. But oh, I love how that came out. That's adorable. And that's our 5 projects. We have our cute little love in a mug. I don't remember if I told you where this design came from. It was from a Design Bundles Valentine's Day sublimation pack. And this one is the little house with the Love Makes a House a Home vinyl sentiment. I love that. That's a super cute. And then we also have our love little cheese board that I painted and then added the love sentiment. Our etched, which I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up, our etched Be Mine frame, as well as our little kitchen towel that has our vintage truck on it that we can decorate now for Valentine's Day. So just a couple simple Valentine's Day projects. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.